Are you an alcoholic, or do you know someone who is one? Of course. We either fall into the camp of we are alcoholics or we know somebody who is an alcoholic. But what if I told you that using the term alcoholic was holding you back, holding the person back that has the problem, and that stigma and that label really doesn't do anybody any good? I made a video recently about the topic of a day in an alcoholic's life, and I went into great detail about my struggles with alcohol, my issues with drinking, and my issues on a daily basis of what it was like to live as a drinker. But I talked also about how I didn't really like the term alcoholic. It's kind of why AA never really worked for me. It's kind of why I really didn't cling to people that I felt were judging me regarding my drinking. So I made a topic about that, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this in depth a little bit more. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Josh, living life alcohol free. If you're returning, you're a subscriber. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. And I watched a movie recently, Happy Gilmore 2. And it was interesting because I didn't really know where it was going, but it ended up being he was in this extreme alcoholic recovery program, and Ben Stiller was the leader of this group. And it's a slapstick movie, so Ben Stiller basically said, "We don't call ourselves alcoholics. What do we call ourselves?" And she says, "I'm an alkie." And it's funny when you look at it like that, and you kind of can make fun of it. But like I said, I really didn't know where this movie was going. I didn't know anything about it before I watched it. So, but I found myself kind of laughing at that, and it just kind of made me think, wow, maybe I should make a topic about this particular issue and the stigma of using the term alcoholic. Uh, when I read This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, we kind of went into depth on her sobriety group. It's more of an alcohol free group. She didn't use the term sobriety. She liked to use just the term alcohol free because it was more of a choice. It was an active choice that we made to remove alcohol from our lives completely. And we can kind of control alcohol by just removing it completely from our lives. And I kind of resonated with that because I really kind of felt like if I was admitting that I was an alcoholic, or admitting that I was a slave to my addiction, kind of like how they do in AA, I kind of felt like it was going to hurt me. It was going to kind of hold me back and not help me get to where I wanted to go to kind of um, be alcohol free for a long time. My goal really at the beginning was to kind of control my drinking. I kind of, after a little while, realized that, it was the one drink that really does us in. It's the one. And that's what I really appreciated with the philosophy of AA. There were things and aspects of AA that I did appreciate. I tried going a couple times. I tried a few different meetings, and it never really stuck with me. But kind of looking at my drinking, it was, I had a problem with it. I wasn't, uh, I wouldn't call myself an alcoholic. I'm not sure I would even say that I'm an addict. I mean, I was addicted to it when I was drinking it. But when I removed alcohol completely from my life, I no longer was in active addiction to it. It became not a thing anymore. Alcohol just became something that I just really didn't look to anymore to cope with life. And it's because I replaced drinking with a whole bunch of other healthier things that actually brought me joy, sustained joy, and really made me feel like, you know, life is better without alcohol. So whether or not you use the term alcoholic or addiction or drunk or whatever term you use, um, what do you guys think? What are your issues with labels of uh, alcoholic, uh, addicted? Do you use those terms? Do they help your recovery? Do they help you in your life? I would say that like 90% of the comments that I get in my videos are positive. There's always some people trolling. There's always and some of them kind of they made me laugh in the live streams a little bit, if I'm honest. But when I like in the videos, when I get those comments, it kind of makes me wonder, like, why are you even watching this video? Uh, it, the things that you're saying don't really contribute positively to the conversation here. And this is, I mean, it's a serious topic. It's not something that we joke around about. It's when I started this channel, I always I was always kind of into like stereotypes. I was always kind of into like joking, laughing, mocking, making fun of things. That was me as a drinker. Quite honestly, it was, I mean, I grew up watching Saturday Night Live. I grew up in the 90s. There was, I mean, Adam Sandler and Chris Farley and Rob Schneider and all these people. They made fun of different races, different ethnicities, different, people with issues. And you kind of laugh at it, but as time goes on, and now I'm like married, and I have my wife who is not, we came from different backgrounds, so she's more literal than I am. And when I was still using that kind of those different types of humor and things like that in our day-to-day lives with our kids and just with people in general, uh, she didn't really find it funny a lot of times. And then I'd kind of be like, well, man, that fell flat. And I would give my kids a hard time. I would give like people in my life a hard time teasing them, and then I'd wonder like why they're acting like back. Why am I getting that back? And I kind of realized after a while that like my dad was like that, and our parents can kind of be like that. Like they tease us, they poke us and prod us, and not all of them, but I had parents that kind of like would tease. And I know that I'm sure they got that from their parents. I know that my grandmother was kind of someone who like teased and stuff, um, but I was always serious with them. But then also, as I got older, I started to recognize that I was doing the same things they were doing. And when I was stuck in my drinking, all those years, I drank for 27 years. So when I was stuck in my drinking days, uh, I found myself that I didn't really love my personality, and for whatever reason, I cared a lot about what other people thought of me. And so when I would give people's opinion of me a lot of weight, it would keep me drinking. It made me feel, and it could be anybody from being at work or at school or friends or family. It didn't matter who it was. If I felt like they were being critical of me and joking around about my problems, that it just made me feel like I wanted to drink at that. And then when I would do that, I would get to the point where I would start to act differently. I would say things that I normally wouldn't say, and I would be just the type of hurtful person that I didn't like to be around. And so once I got a little bit of time away from alcohol, I would say like a month, I started to recognize that when I would bite my tongue and not say the thing that I always used to say, the people that I would say it to didn't say the hurtful things and act the kind of like the hurtful way that I was acting towards them. And I started to notice that it's better not to speak sometimes and just listen and not and process what other people are saying. And if it's bothering you, maybe just sit with it for a while and then bring it up later. Or you can just sit with it and then not and then you can come to terms with it, and then you don't really need to say anything at all. But it's a situation where I think that it, like those kinds of like labels, those kinds of like jokes and those kinds of things, although they might be funny in movies or funny on TV or even in life sometimes to a certain degree, it's not always the case. uh and it doesn't always have to be like it's like we're serious all the time. But I just find that like I kind of over the years I was able to start to grow out of that, and I have like being alcohol free or sober or whatever term you want to use, uh, to thank for that. Like it's not I'm not a different person than I was. I definitely like my personality is outgoingly different. I mean, and inside I'm still the same. Uh, but there was a certain period of time, I would say like around like 3 years of being sober, where I started to really get annoyed with certain people in my life, and I really cared about what they thought. And I made it like a goal that year to like a almost like a New Year's resolution to work on caring less about what other people think. It took me maybe like 6 months, and I started to notice that, man, when someone would say something, I didn't dwell on it as long. I didn't ruminate about it as long. I kind of like I would be able to let it go, but it took practice. It took, like I said, it took a few months of really like entertaining the feelings that I was having towards it when they would say it, and then sitting with it. Just like anything else, when you quit drinking, you're processing things differently than you did before because you're not reaching for the alcohol. So you're sitting with how you feel, and you might be angry or bitter at that person. You might even be angry at yourself for even caring. But you sit with it for a while, and then you kind of start to be able to process this, and then it's almost like an empowering thing. But leading up to that, like there was a period of time at that same time that I kind of recognized that I was still seeking an escape from my reality, from my life. A lot of responsibilities, a lot of things going on at home in particular, but like it's just life isn't like easier because I don't drink. It's just that I'm stronger, and I built up some years before I got to that point. But I considered turning to other things besides alcohol to kind of cope or escape from my reality, because I just, like I said, I didn't feel satisfied with where I was with my life. I didn't feel like I was accepting of the responsibilities that I had going on in my life, and I didn't have the escape that I felt like I needed. So I took a hike one day, and it was like a light bulb went off, and I started to, because I was really planning on taking a trip somewhere, and I had been wanting to do that for several months, probably a year, and I didn't know exactly what it was I wanted to do. All I knew was that I wanted to go somewhere where I could see things I hadn't seen in a long time, particularly mountains, maybe oceans. Um, but I would start to make my plan, and I would start to think about how that would take away from, um, kind of like I'd have to leave my family. I'd have to leave my like or take them with me. It was either one or the two, like one of the two, and that's fine. But I don't know that I could have gotten the same kind of satisfaction if I was taking care of everything that I had to at home. So my real ultimate goal was to have like 3 days or so by myself or with a friend hiking. And I started to make a plan on that, and just from how I would get there, what we would do, and then coming home. And I thought about it, and it's just like playing forward like a drinking session. Like if you have a little bit of time, then you're not have you, that you haven't drank, say a week or two, and you start to get the urges to drink, and you play that forward, that drinking session, and you get to the point in that session at the end when you're done drinking, you either pass out or you go to bed, and you wake up and you feel like crap, and you have nausea, you have headache, you have all these things, and you go about your day, and you feel lethargic, and you wait all morning to feel better. Maybe you're throwing up, you're so sick, if it's a really bad hangover, and you play that forward, and you're like, I'm not going to drink because I don't want to feel that way anymore. I'm tired of that. Well, it was the same thing that I thought about taking this trip, and then I played it all out, and I got back home, and I'm dealing with all the same things that I was trying to get away from again. So that was like a temporary like getaway, a temporary solution to what was really going on, which was I was not dealing well with my life. I wasn't accepting of the things that I had in my life, accepting that the things that I had in my life were blessings, and really just taking advantage of that thought, and really just uh, getting to a point where I'm like, you know what? I've been seeking an escape all this time. And this is 3 years into my sobriety. Up to that point, for all those years, I was thinking I was going to turn to weed. I could maybe turn to mushrooms. I could turn to taking like trips by myself or whatever, and like getting away. And I ultimately determined that none of that was going to solve what was really going on, my underlying issues, which kind of brings me back to this stigma that we place on people. If we can get over that, like judging kind of people, and this goes for anybody, drinker, not drinker, if we can get to a point where we can consider what that other person is going through, and it's not just about alcohol, and it's not just about how much they're drinking and how they're acting, there's something seriously going on in their life that they need alcohol or weed or uh, cocaine or whatever it is, whatever chemical it is, choose the poison. They're not doing it because it's a blast. If you're stuck in addiction like I was with alcohol, you're not doing it because it's awesome and it's so much fun. I mean, it was at one time, but I mean, as the years go on, and you start to like isolate, and you start to even if you're not isolating, let's say you're going out with people, um, it has to be the right people. It can't just be like someone. It can't just be random people that you're talking to. It's got to be like people that you know or like. The social aspect kind of crumbles, and that's really where it was with my drinking. I started to isolate. I started to form big time social anxiety. I got to a point where I just didn't really want to be around people. I didn't trust people. I was very skeptical of people. And I mean, that hasn't completely changed. I mean, I still have a healthy level of skepticism, but it's to a point now where I'm more trustworthy of people. And I have being alcohol free to thank for that. But I feel like if we can drop all the labels and the stigmas and stop like trolling people, stop you know um just kind of like instead of just making fun of people, we can just kind of open up our hearts and kind of like care and not label, and that ultimately benefits us. And it could be anybody in our lives that we know well, or that we don't know. But that's kind of why I started this channel. A couple reasons. I mean, my faith is the main reason. I felt a calling to start this. Honestly, I mean, needless to say, I was um, skeptical about opening up about my sobriety with people at the beginning. It took me until, like I said, like 3.5 years to really feel like I could open up about my problems with alcohol. I mean, there's still going to be people that I know, that I knew, that maybe stumble across my stuff, and maybe it's for them, maybe it's not. If it is, I'm glad that you're here. But I mean, we don't know who's watching what we're doing. Or I always kind of look at life. It's like a movie. You know what I mean? We're actors in this movie, and it matters what we say, what we do. It matters like how we treat other people. And the faith aspect of my recovery was the biggest blessing in my life. I mean, I gave God the glory at the beginning, because I begged God to take me out of my addiction. I begged God to take the pain away. And it wasn't much longer after I did that, like a couple weeks, that I ultimately quit, and I never went back to it. And I know that that wasn't a coincidence. There's timing in all this. And I know that he put me in that addiction for this. Like there's still more to the story. There's still more to go, but right now that all led me to where I am right now. And opening up my mind, being open, being willing and able to um, be the kind of person that I always wanted to be, but also be the kind of person for other people that I always wished I could be. And I've got my sobriety to thank for that. So I've got a sobriety group on Facebook. It's a private group. It's called Sobriety in the Storm. Please feel free to join that. I'll pin the link in the comments below. I do live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, I'll pin the links to my videos below in the comment section as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you found value in this video or in my channel at all. I thank you all for your support, and let's keep this thing going. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.